Most of Queen Elizabeth comprises open grassland and savanna, which tends to be moist and woody in the west than the eastern part. Thorny acacia dominates this savanna habitat, with a high concentration of candelabra shrub, a cactus that grows along the Kazinga Channel and the Kasenyi Plains.
Once again, Queen Elizabeth National Park is known to be a biosphere reserve. And the title biosphere was given to this park by UNESCO in 1979, looking at how closely people relate with nature. And in total, we have 11 fishing villages. So don't get surprised when you'll be driving in this park with tourists or on your own and you find people walking in the park, find boarders riding in the park. How it came to be is that these communities were in the park even before the park was gazetted as a national park. And they were staying in fishing villages, and we call them fishing enclaves. And they have learned through indigenous knowledge how knowledge can be passed on from one generation to the other. And still Uganda Wildlife Authority is doing what it can through the Community Conservation Department to make sure that they are empowered in as far as learning how they can stay these animals is concerned. And something very vital to share with you is that Queen Elizabeth National Park has got 5 types of vegetation, which makes it unique. We have savanna grassland, we have thickets and shrubs, we have woodland, we have tropical rainforests, and around the water bodies we have the swamp type of vegetation. So behind me is a crater called Nyamnuka, but behind the crater there is the force that led to its formation. In other words, Queen Elizabeth National Park lies within the western arm of the Great East African Rift Valley, and within the Rift Valley there is what we call tectonic forces that led to the. So behind me is what we call the explosion crater belt, and we have 2 beautiful lakes, George, Kazinga, and Edward, joined by the Kazinga Channel. So we assert faulting that led to their formation. But if you can check behind me is Nyamnuka, which is a volcanic crater, and it has got salty water. And buffaloes normally walk as if they're in a pilgrim, and they stay on this crater for some days, and when they get fully healed, then they leave and give chance for other buffaloes to come. Animals that cannot come here are like crocodiles and hippos, because this water is saline. And normally whenever buffaloes have got wounds, maybe from the attacks of the lions, they normally come and wallow in this mud, and at the same time can even drink on this salty water. That is when they can be fully healed. So in these national parks, you may ask yourself, why are no zebras? Why are no giraffes? With zebras, we never had them, ever, in Queen Elizabeth National Parks. But behind me, within the explosion crater belt, it is where we had the giraffes. But it is years ago, many years ago, that these giraffes were found to have reached extinction. And the reasons behind the extinction of the giraffes is nothing other than natural processes, because this is the explosion crater belt. So some assumptions and some scholars say they might have died of eruptions because their concentration were in this crater belt. At the same time, long time ago, there were lots of natural checks that we can call epidemics. And one of the natural checks that claimed the population of the giraffes was a viral infection called rinderpest. And researchers, to come up with a conclusion, they had to take the remains of the skeletons of the giraffes. By that time, Cape Town, South Africa was the lab being used, and they found the virus, which was rinderpest. And at times, you may find animals in Queen Elizabeth concentrating in one place, and they are not in one place. And these are some of the ecological, dynamics that are bringing that. Currently, we have got a big threat globally, which is climate change. And climate change has done a lot in as far as altering ecosystems is concerned. So somebody, for example, who used to do game drives along Mwea tracks, we still have animals, especially elephants, buffaloes, and waterbucks, but you may not find very many cobs, which is the favorite prey for the lions, simply because succession is taking place. And those are indicators that climate change is also impacting on that alteration of the ecosystem, and you find the prey living where they are in fear of the shrubs that are growing, and they end up move in places where it is still open. And that is why every morning Kazinga is still now the place that everyone is longing for, because that's where we see short grassland savanna. You are most welcome to the Kazinga Channel Boat Cruise, and it is one of the activities that we offer in Queen Elizabeth National Park. So we are on the channel that is natural in its own, that is joining two lakes. Lake George in the northeastern side of the park to Lake Edward, which is towards the western side of the park. And the channel is 8 to 12 meters deep, and the length is 40 kilometers. So when you're on the Kazinga channel, that is when you believe the aquatic ecosystem or the water body hosts a lot of mammals, a lot of birds, a lot of reptiles, among other attractions. But what we normally don't miss on the Kazinga channel are schools of hippos, herds of buffaloes, elephants. We don't miss crocodiles. And something interesting, we also look at different species of birds that are referred to be water birds. And at this season of the year, we are lucky that we are also hosting the European migratory species of birds. And in few minutes from now, believe me and agree with me, you are going to look at many of them. I urge visitors that they are most welcome to Kazinga channel because of the attractions. For example, the African elephants, who are ecological modifiers, whose lore is what they're doing right now, suppressing the vegetation. And they're doing this because they are preparing for other animals who are the grazers, like the warthogs, like the waterbucks, like the buffaloes, because as they suppress the vegetation, they allow the rays of the sun to hit the ground, and this is why other grazers are doing well in Queen Elizabeth National Park. Such attractions are supposed not to be missed by the visitors, both locally as Ugandans, as East Africans, as Africans, and we also urge the tourists all over the world to come and visit Queen Elizabeth National Park. This is indeed the medley of wonders. Where you look at the little holes, those are the holes or the nests, and some people call them colonies of the pied kingfishers. So these are species that entirely survive on fish. That is why they construct their homes closer to the water. So they are beautiful black and white, and in birding as an activity where we show different species of birds to visitors, pied simply means black and white. And if you are to take a keen eye to look at them, if you're a birder or a tourist who is interested in birds, males differ from females, because in birds, they are the males that are beautiful. In other words, they are the males that attract the females. And you find the male pied kingfisher has got 2 bands on the breasts. But if you observe and look at those pied kingfishers, one that has got the sign of like a blur is a female. But those 2 double bands that makes it look attractive are the bands that we see that is a male pied kingfisher. At the moment, once again, these are the attractions that you can enjoy and look at when you are at the Kazinga channel. And if you can look where I am pointing, the different species of birds flying, and we call them the gull-billed terns. And away from the gull-billed terns, there are other species of birds like the African spoonbills. And away from the African spoonbills, you can also look at species like the spur-winged plovers. And away from the spur-winged plovers, you can also look at species like the water thickney. So it is at the Kazinga channel where you see such interaction of different species of birds. And along the shores as we continue, you are going also to sight and look at the migratory species of birds that migrate from Europe. And currently, I expect to find species like the white-winged black terns. But when you also observe, buffaloes are comfortable. So this is the time that is right for them to come and drink. After drinking, they sleep and relax. But as you can look, some of them are sleeping in the water. There is a reason why. They do that simply because they want to freeze the parasites. These buffaloes have got a lot of ticks, which ticks can drip blood out of them. But they are ruminants who are chewing the cud while the parasites are inactive, and they are easing their digestion. Along the shores, we are also going to look at more interaction between different species. It is at the Kazinga channel where you see this life, and they are the attractions everybody should come and look at. on the shores, we are looking at the male buffaloes. But if you look around critically, you don't look at any female. So we refer this herd as a bachelor herd. How do buffaloes come to a bachelor herd? So in buffaloes, in a herd, you find females, what we call the matriarchs, are the leaders. So at times when males age, they also need security. And females are supposed to be given security all over the herd until they die a natural death. So what happens is that when lions come to attack the main herd, and these old males don't give protection to the rest of the herd, then the matriarch starts to doubt the strengths of these male buffaloes. So it commands energetic young males and females, and they chase them to go and become the food for the lions. As you know, in human beings, life is always sweet, more or less similar to the creatures of the world. So when one is chased, we call it a loser or an outcast or a rejected male. So for them to live longer and help each other to make sure that they don't die there and then when they are chased, that is why they come to a loser herd called a bachelor herd. That's when they are in position to sleep the way they are sleeping, looking both directions, such that when they hear anything like a lion or any predator that wants to attack them, then they come together and combine efforts and fight that lion together. However, their life is miserable when they are alone, but they see and get a smile when they are in a loser herd, because they share the similar problems, they share the similar challenges, and you realize they can even together fight the enemy who has come to attack them. These are some of the attractions that you will find in the stories when you come and visit the Kazinga channel on our boat cruise. At the moment, if you can look on the shores of the Kazinga channel, the crocodiles are the owners of the shores. And if you can look at one of them, the mouth is wide open. And that is one way how crocodiles regulate their body temperature. So entirely crocodiles reside in the water, but when it is not very, very hot, mild like this, they come out to feel the warmth of the ground. But again, when it is too hot, you realize the water cools more, and that's when they come out. And if you can look at some of them, colors differ. Some look more darkish green, those are males. The ones that slightly appear black and yellow, those are females. So something so special with crocodiles is that sexes hatched out of crocodile eggs are determined by the temperatures of the day. Hotter temperatures, maybe if the day is 30 degrees, all the hatchlings at that particular time turns to be males. But a slight reduction in temperature, maybe from 30 degrees of the day to 29 and below, which makes it cooler for the day from the high that was average in the day, then they start to turn from males to females. So it's a conclusion that it is temperature variation that determines which sexes are hatched out of crocodile eggs. And if you can slightly look right of those crocodiles, they are beautiful birds, and we call them African skimmers. They are skimmers because when they are in a flight mode or when they're flying, then you find their beaks skimming and picking some species of fish as they are enjoying their meals. But otherwise, we have got other tiny small species of birds. In case you're using a binocular, which should be one of the necessities when you come at the Kazinga channel, we also have birds like common green shank. We also have birds like squawk herons. We also have species like the African jacana. We also have species like the African, the African spoonbills, as well as yellow-billed storks. So I'm recommending and urging visitors to make sure that when you're coming on the Kazinga channel, get to know and come with a pen and a paper if possible, being a study center, and you go when you have learned all this from the interpretation skills that we normally offer at the Kazinga channel. The channel welcomes you as you're enjoying the Kazinga boat cross.